Hello everybody, welcome to IT Skills. In this video, I'm going to create an Azure virtual machine within 5 minutes. Without further ado, let's get started. We have a lot of things to get done. So you can see here as the video is titled creating Azure VM demo. So to create the Azure virtual machine, you have to have subscription. And if you have the right subscription, you can just go to virtual machines. On the virtual machine tabs, you can see I'm running a couple of virtual machines over here. And this virtual machines, some of them you can see stopped because I want to save money. So we're going to go ahead, click on here to create a new virtual machine. You have several options over here. What you want to do is click on Azure Virtual Machine. And then from here on, you're going to want to go ahead and actually supply some information over here. So the first thing you're going to have to do is your subscription. And the next thing after that is going to be providing a resource group. So I'm just going to go ahead, put in my resource group here. And then you're going to have to go ahead and choose a virtual machine name. So I just call this one IT Skills. And then you're going to want to choose a region. Region is by default knows where your region is. If you want to choose some different region, you should do it. Then you can go ahead, select the region you want to. I will not recommend selecting region outside of your continent. Otherwise, you're going to have latency issues. Then you have availability zone, redundant solution. So if you have a VM that runs critical solution, then you need to have availability. Then after that, you have zone. I have applied myself to zone 1. In this case, I don't want availability at all. I'm just going to say no infrastructure redundancy required, which is fine. And then you're going to have say trusted launch virtual machine. That's fine for the security. That's the default. It applies there, or you can make a standard. I'm just going to choose the image. The image is your most important thing. You can choose your image as a Linux. As you can see, it will select as Ubuntu server. You can have a WordPress server. You can have Windows 11 Pro, as I selected a lot of times, or you can have Server 2022, Azure Edition. You can have a lot of things. So the choice is yours. You can go here for more, like see all images, and you can see so much. You can install Red Hat, but I'm just going to go ahead and make this simple for us by putting Windows 11 Pro. And then from here on, we're going to go ahead and scroll down, and then we're going to have by default 64-bit architecture. And then, but ultimately, the biggest thing we need to worry about is going to be the cost. The cost of the machine is important. So you can see this machine is going to cost us $60. It's a 2 vCPUs, it's like 8 gig of memory, $60 a month. If you want to choose a different option, you can do so, but be aware the larger size you choose, the more you pay. So this is the one that I afford. But if you go see all the sizes, it will give you all the option you got. You got one that's cost $40 to one that can cost all the way to, like, if you come over here to the E series, all the way to up to 2,000 or 3,000, depending on what you select. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually close this down. And then I'm just going to keep that default. I'm just going to call it IT Skills. And then I'm going to put my password. So now once you do this, by default, it will ask you if you want to allow RDP. That's not the secure option. And so therefore, it will want you to do that. And if you hit no, then you won't be able to connect until you set up some type of connection. Then the licensing is your thing. If you have a license to Windows 11, which I do in this case, you can come click here and you save money on that way. So I'm going to click next for disk. Disk, I usually leave it alone because disk is usually unless you want to downgrade your disk. So default one is going to give you 127 gigs. You can go up to 2 terabytes, which is going to cost you more, obviously. And then you can go to get a premium SSD, standard SSD, or a standard HDD. So the best choice is going to be premium. Obviously, if you don't have anything important, then you can make it a standard. Next, you're going to come over here, networking, keep it the same default. It's going to by default allow the inbound ports for RDP 3389, so you can RDP into the machine. If you don't like that, you want to probably change it. So you can come over here, select my network. So I can go ahead, just choose the same network over here. And I can put the network over here. The network is selected as that, but I can create a new network if I want to. That's no problem. And then I can go ahead, see if there's anything else I want to do. If I don't want to allow TCP or public inbound ports, then I can disable this like by hitting here. But I can say allow this one now, and then I can choose RDP. And you can see this is a known ports over here. And then you can select network security groups. I can just choose basics. Overall, that's what we need to do. Next, you can go to management. This is how you can manage the machine. So if you are low on budget and you don't want to get surprise bills, you need to enable auto shutdown. This is going to allow the machine to shut down 7 p.m. and it's going to send you an email once it shuts down. and you can set your email correctly, and that's it. So that's ultimately what it is. And everything else like identity and other things, you don't need to worry about it for this demo. And then you can see monitoring, you can set up alerts. Advanced gives you advanced features, and now you can hit review. So ultimately this is how much the machine will cost us. This is the machine name, and on top of that, this is my username. This RDP is enabled. So if you're happy with all your settings here, then you can go ahead and actually hit create. And if it has issues, then you can see it. So now once you hit create, it's gonna go through. All right, so that took about 5 minutes, give or take. And so this is simply how you can do it. And so the reason we end up creating Azure VM is because you can go up from now having any VMs to having a VM up and running. You don't have to buy hardware, you don't have to buy anything. And that's why Azure VM is the best. So now we're gonna go ahead and connect to the VM and then go from here. So click on resource, go to resources, and then you can click on connect. And then here it will give you the information. By default, there's so many methods you can connect to the VM. You can use the native RDP, which are what I'm gonna use here. But if you want to secure method, you can use Bastion, which is gonna cost you. And then you can also use SSH, or you can do serial console. I haven't tried the serial console before. I will want to try that at some point. But right now I'm just gonna use the native RDP. So let's click on select. It's gonna download the native RDP. I'm gonna hit download, open. When I hit open, it actually took this to my other monitor, and I'm gonna bring it up over here where it's asking me for credentials. But ultimately, I have to put in my credential, and then I'll share back my screen, put in my credential, put in my password, and then I hit OK. That should give me the connection. There you go. Here's my Windows 11 that I just provisioned. You can check the settings. You can see I have 2 drives over here, and you can come over here to the properties. This gives you, what is going on, the name of the computer, the memory, the processor. It's ultimately ready for us to do whatever, and I'm gonna do command prompt and just do like ipconfig/all. You can see the IP information, the DNS, and everything else. So that's basically how to do it. So I hope you're able to learn something here. And if you have any questions, please post in the comments.